Hi, Jen here with Gemini Junction. It is Tuesday, March the something. I don't know. It's March the 9th, I think. Anyways, Growing Zone 7B, I think I said that. Today we are talking all about strawberries. I'm still actively working on garden cleanup. Jim was out here helping me a little bit earlier. As per usual, with any project that I undertake, it's always taking longer than anticipated. I feel like that's just the story of my life. Anyways, today is all about strawberries. So there are three categories of strawberries with a fourth that I'm going to put a little asterisk next to. The three main categories of strawberries, you've got June bearing strawberries, you've got ever bearing strawberries, and you have day neutral strawberries. So let's break these down and I'll tell you just a kind of little bit about each of the types. June bearing strawberries are exactly what they sound like. You get one large harvest smack dab in the middle of June. And that's it as far as your harvest goes. Now, of the three types, June bearing strawberries typically are going to produce a larger berry. And again, as with everything, there's obviously going to be things that affect that. Your ground condition, your soil condition, if you're using fertilizer, if you're not using fertilizer, what type of fertilizer, there's all these things that are going to go into what your fruit looks like. But just for a general statement is your June bearing strawberries are going to give you the largest fruit. The upside is you get one big harvest in and then you don't have to fool with them again until next year. The downside of June bearing strawberries is you have to pay attention to the runners. Runners are the little exactly what they sound like. It's a little stem that shoots off of the mother plant and it turns into a whole new strawberry plant. The thing with June bearing strawberries is they typically produce a lot of runners, and if you don't keep your runners under control and pinch them off, you're going to weaken the mother plant, which is going to inhibit her ability to produce big, beautiful, luscious, delicious strawberries. So you have to keep that in mind, paying attention to your runners. Now, the opposite side to that is if you are trying to propagate and focus on multiplying your strawberry plants, then June bearing strawberries may be the way to go. Just know that if the more runners that you let root, because they will root into the ground and turn into a whole new plant, the more runners that you let root, the less fruit you're going to produce off of that plant that season. Okay. Next up, we've got everbearing strawberries. Everbearing will give you 2 or 3 harvests per growing season. So you'll typically get a nice harvest in June, another one in mid to late summer, and then one more harvest in fall. Everbearing is kind of the middle of the road, I would say. They are more dependent on daylight hours. They need an average of 12 hours of sunlight to produce really good. Everbearing is great as far as the fruit size goes. You do get some runners. You don't get as many runners, but you do get some. Then you have day neutral strawberries. Day neutral strawberries produce fruit all growing season. There are no clumps of time where it's, more or less. You're going to continuously get fruit from late spring through fall, continuously. Day neutral is also great for folks who have a small space or have the space they want to put strawberries where maybe it doesn't get quite as much sun as other areas, because day neutral strawberries are not quite as dependent on sunlight or daylight hours, and they're still going to produce for you. So, having said that, in my strawberry patch, we have all three types. So we've got day neutral strawberries, we've got June bearing, and we've got ever bearing. So I'm going to pause this and go over to the strawberry patch so I can show you guys some stuff in person. So as I was cleaning up this section of the garden, I was tickled to find that about 25 or so strawberry plants survived from last year. I was fully convinced that they had all drowned because we had so much rain last year and our strawberry harvest was just not the greatest. So I was convinced that they had all drowned. Here is one that survived, and he's already got a little runner. So you can see this red, let me move that out of the way. You can see this red stem here, and this little part right here, it will grow roots and turn into a whole new strawberry plant if you let it. This little piece right here, where my finger is, that's called the crown, and you never ever want to plant that. You never want to have the crown covered because it will kill your plant. Over here, this is an everbearing. Everything in this row actually is everbearing. Super happy. I uncovered these yesterday and they perked right on up, and I am just like so tickled about this. So as I'm cleaning it up, I'm finding there's another strawberry plant. There's another strawberry plant there. I found a ton. Is about 25 that was left over. Some of them look much better than others, but that's to be expected. So we can expect to start seeing fruit probably as early as mid-May, is what I'm hoping for, because we have all three types. Now there's also wild strawberries, which are not in every state in the United States. We have here in Virginia, we are lucky to get a lot of the wild fruits. We have raspberries, blackberries, blueberries, strawberries, all of the wild variety that are completely edible. Now, wild strawberries are not the same as mock strawberries, and you can tell the difference by how the fruit actually sits on the plant. So mock strawberries typically are very low to the ground, and it's a weed, and you can tell that it's a mock strawberry because the berry grows up from the stem, whereas wild strawberries, the berry will grow down. The leaf will be up and the berry will grow down. So that's a good way to tell the difference. So things that are really great with strawberries, they are, number one, they're the best fruit. And you may say, well, that's your opinion. No, it's a fact. But seriously, strawberries are my absolute favorite fruit. They are just so wonderful. They're so good for you. And I mean, unless you have a strawberry allergy, I don't know that I've ever met anybody that doesn't like strawberries. Now is when people who don't like strawberries are going to come for me in the comments, and I'm okay with that. But I'm still standing by my comment that strawberries are the best fruit, period. So what's so great about strawberries is strawberry plants are frost tolerant up to a point. Even if they have blooms, they are somewhat frost tolerant. So you can expect to start seeing blooms. Like we'll see some blooms. We'll start seeing some blooms on these really soon. Typically, I will pinch off pinch off the first set of blooms just to help encourage the plant to produce larger fruits. So I should say down to 30 degrees, your strawberry plants are totally fine. And this is more important in the springtime when they are actively growing. In the wintertime, your strawberry plants will go dormant, and as long as you have them covered, either with overgrowth or row covers or whatever, then your strawberries will continue to produce every year, meaning the frost is not going to kill them. And again, up to a certain point. If you're living in negative 10 bazillion degrees, then obviously your strawberry plants are not going to make it through that. But in the wintertime, they go dormant, and it's fine. So springtime, we're still going to have temperatures that get down into the freezing weather. I noticed one day next week we're going to have one night that's going to be like 28 degrees, the low of 28 degrees. So I will come out here and put a row cover over top of all of those strawberries just to make sure that they're okay. But aside from, the really cold spells, strawberries are resilient little plants. They really are. I cannot believe that as many of them survived through the ridiculous growing season last year. So let me tell you a little fun story about some of the strawberries that are in the garden over there. So last year, or it may have been the year before last, I think it was the year before last, my father and my stepmother, who are avid gardeners, shout out to John and Donna Arnold, you guys rock. We swap plants a lot. They grow all kinds of cool stuff, and they're very excited about it, especially my stepmom. She gets really, really excited about trying to grow new things, and she's really into it, and it makes it such a joyous exchange when we get together and we're talking about plants, because the two of us are just like kids in a candy store when it comes to plants. So anyways, her and my dad had rescued a bunch of strawberries from my stepsister's house. My stepsister was living in a place, and there were some strawberries that were planted by her partner at the time, and her partner just didn't keep up with them. And when it came time for my sister to move, there are these, half dead strawberry plants that are just sitting there. So my dad and my stepmom were like, "Whoa, we're going to take these because, we could probably do something with them." So they did. They dug them up. They took them to their house. They put them in the ground. And those strawberry plants, all they needed was a little bit of TLC, and those strawberry plants took off. And so my stepmom propagated, and I'm sure they have an even more amazing strawberry patch than what we have right now. But she gave me some of their strawberries, which are where the bulk of those strawberries over there came from. So, and those come from the runners. So, they're a really neat little plant. It's not only do they produce amazing fruit, but they have the ability to self-propagate, and not from dropping seeds. It's an actual self-propagation where it forms a whole new plant. So I think that's a really cool thing. Our blackberry bushes do the same thing, and there are other plants that do the same thing, which is I just think that's very cool. So anyways, key takeaway things for strawberries are you can plant them earlier than most other summer crops. If you're starting out, you can typically get strawberries in the ground as soon as the ground is workable. And they don't have to, you don't really have to do a whole lot with them. They do require some fertilization from time to time, which is going to be true with most of your vegetable and fruit plants. the better care you take care of them, the better they're going to produce, and strawberries are no exception to that. So, you know, you're going to want to keep up with their nutrients so that they have food and everything, and they do like a well draining soil that is moist but not wet. But really, aside from just the very basics, you can grow strawberries in containers. A lot of people grow strawberries in raised beds, which is great. I really wish we had done a raised bed for our strawberries, and I may at some point add a raised bed and do strawberries in it, just because when they're close to the ground, the actual ground, not a raised bed ground, not a surface of the raised bed, but the actual ground, they are more susceptible to pests, particularly turtles. Last year we had the turtles were all up in those strawberries, and also just general ground pests are always going to be more of an issue with anything that's planted in the ground if you don't have any sort of rodent barrier or whatever, which we have some fencing that we put around, but that's pretty much it. So in a raised bed, though, you're less likely to have issues insects are always going to be there, but from as far as rodents go, unless they're tunneling up from underneath or climbing up over top, depending on how tall your raised beds are. But you can totally plant and grow strawberries just about anywhere. You could put them in a little hanging basket and hang them, you know, on your porch or on your wherever, and you're gonna get strawberries. So, you know, they really are hardy little plants. And again, they produce the best fruit, so why wouldn't you want to grow them? So if you have, you know, if you're dealing with a smaller garden budget, I highly encourage you to try strawberries if you've never grown them before. Try strawberries. You're going to get a lot of bang for your buck, because especially if you get June bearing strawberries, because they're going to send out your runners, and that'll set you up for the next year and the following year and the following year, and the cycle just continues, and it all starts with a single plant. So, you know, you don't have to drop a ton of money to have strawberries. So that is that's it for this episode, I think. Oh, there is one other thing. Well, I'll get into that tomorrow. Some of my sweet peas already have germinated and popped through the surface, and I only planted those things like 3 or 4 days ago, so I'm super excited about that. I was going to show you, but there's a big pile of stuff that I got to get over in order to get to it, so maybe we'll save that for tomorrow. Anyways, super long-winded video. I apologize. This is Jen signing off. Go outside, get dirty, have fun. Catch you on the flip side.